So far, we've covered the basic NLU and program requirements, what you should expect out of a typical class format, and applied behavior analysis in general. Today, we'll start off talking about academic goals and how you might be able to adapt your environment to encourage pivotal committed actions to allow you to meet those goals. Remember, personal values can be defined as areas of your life that have meaning to you. Goals are typically related to one's values. They help you live in accordance with your values. Goals are concrete, object-like consequences that can be obtained or finished. When setting goals, you should base them on positive personal interests and values associated with greater success, and should avoid goals that are rooted in avoidance of failure. That is, you should describe things that you want to do, not necessarily things that you want to avoid. Take a few moments to reflect upon what goals you have in life. Free write for about 2 minutes about any or all of these topics on the slide, centering around what you would like to achieve. Don't worry about full sentences or giving a correct answer, but do focus on measurable outcomes that you want to reach. Great work! Reflecting upon your values, goals, and committed actions related to those goals will help you stay focused and to persevere during the program. Graduate school is undeniably difficult, and you'll have a lot to juggle. Having your personal goals to turn back to and think about will hopefully be motivating. Now let's work on continuing to refine your goals to be very specific and measurable. That's what we're all about in behavior analysis. A good behavior analytic goal should include your target behavior, something that you'll actively do, when, where, and with what resources you'll engage in that behavior, and how you'll decide whether the goal has been mastered. These are sometimes called actions, conditions, and effects. Here's an example. By the end of the semester, when observing a client when they're at school, I'll collect frequency data on the client's behavior with at least 90% inter-observer agreement with my supervisor. This is a goal that you might set for yourself when practicing different data collection techniques while completing your practicum hours. The action is collecting frequency data. The conditions are observing a client while they're at school. The effects are achieving at least 90% inter-observer agreement with the supervisor by the end of the semester. Morisano and colleagues provide another way of conceptualizing an effective goal. Goals should be SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-oriented. Come up with 3 goals for yourself. A long-term goal to achieve in the next 2 or 3 years or after graduation, an intermediate goal that you might be able to meet by the end of the term, and a more immediate goal that you could achieve in the next week or 2, and which will help you to meet your intermediate and long-term goals. In an assignment due today, you'll talk about why you're pursuing those goals, how attainable you think each goal is, how you think meeting these goals will benefit you or others, and how committed you are to each goal. Setting clear goals can, in and of itself, be a good intervention, increasing the likelihood of meeting those goals, but it's often not enough. As behavior analysts, we know that behavior changes as a function of the environment. But what behaviors actually need to change? That's where you have to start. What specific behaviors can you actually commit to that will make it more likely for you to meet your goals? Kazemi et al. List a few pivotal skills that are, quote, crucial in your success as a behavior analyst and deemed important by all professionals. Let's say that your goal is to submit all of your assignments on time in the first 3 weeks of the semester. Okay, what will you do if at the end of the week you haven't stayed on track? Let's go over the suggestions. Addressing time management may look like keeping track of your assignment due dates in a different way, such as with a physical planner or with a cell phone alarm reminder. Maybe you're engaging in behaviors that aren't allowing you to get enough sleep, and as such you're too groggy or rushed to get work done in the mornings. Addressing self-care could look like going to sleep earlier or setting aside time to yourself in a quiet, comfortable environment. If you're concerned about getting an assignment in on time, communication is absolutely vital. Make a commitment to reach out to your professor to discuss the possibility of an extension in advance of when the assignment is due and how you might be able to increase the probability of submitting things on time in the future. Similarly, When a professor gives you feedback on your work in or outside of class, be receptive to it. Feedback can be aversive, especially if it's corrective, but we can't learn and change without it. Kazemi et al. Move on to talk about what they call professional skills, and a big part of that is perspective taking. In other words, thinking about how your behavior has an impact on others. When you submit an assignment late, that really only affects you and your professor, though of course we deeply appreciate it when you do take our time and feelings into account. But think about how this can generalize to work with clients. What happens if you submit your sessions note too late for others to review and act upon them? What if you don't update your client's behavior plan or goals in a timely fashion? Taking the time to think through the outcomes and effects on others can have a profound effect on your behavior. Okay, so if those behaviors need to change to make it more likely for you to meet your goals, how can we in turn change those behaviors? This is a huge topic that you'll cover later in this program, but self-management techniques are key. This is simply a list of possibilities that Cooper, Heron, and Heward provide in their textbook Applied Behavior Analysis. If you encounter any barriers to reaching your goals or engaging in your committed actions, work with your professor or advisor to start working in some of these interventions. As part of your written assignment due today, you'll be discussing your goals and committed actions. You are also asked to fill out the rubric points based on how you believe you fulfilled each assignment requirement. While completion of orientation requirements is not a part of any course grade, this is an important opportunity to get familiar with how assignment expectations will be communicated throughout the program, and how you can self-assess to be sure that you're fulfilling those expectations. A professor will then give you feedback on the accuracy of your self-assessment so that you can become more and more precise over time. In this case, for example, you'll receive 1 point for including each of your 3 goals. You might receive a half point for a goal if it's not stated in objective, measurable terms. You would then receive 1 point for discussion of your reasons for pursuing each of the 3 goals, 1 point per goal for discussion of that goal's attainability, and 1 point per goal for reflection on obstacles to reaching each of them. The next rubric requirement shows that you'll receive 1 point for discussing the impact of achieving each goal. Then, 1 point per goal for discussion of how you can show your commitment, and an additional point per goal for referencing specific actions you could commit to for each goal to overcome potential obstacles. Grammar and APA style can be assessed automatically with Grammarly, a free service linked on Module 4's Activities and Assignments page. And of course, submitting the rubric is itself worth a point. That's it for today's orientation. Don't forget to submit the written assignment about reflection upon your goals.